Hi, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. This is Parenting in the Pandemic. My name is Martha Vargas Rico. I am the school social worker for both Carrillo Elementary and Julian Elementary. In addition to that, I am a very proud parent of two knights. And I have the pleasure of having with me one of my dear friends and colleagues, Alan Lee.
Hi, Martha. My name is Alan Lee. As Martha said, I'm a physical therapist. I'm also a proud parent of two children at San Marcos High School. Uh, Again, thank you for this opportunity to share some thoughts about exercise and as well as getting through this pandemic in terms of healthy habits.
Absolutely. So I know that we all have felt the impact of the pandemic. And I also know that there are things that we can do to buffer some of those things. So, Alan, I wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about exercise and physical activity and what we can do since we're kind of sitting more than we were in the past and we're staring in front of screens. That has become kind of our new normal, if I may. And I wonder what we could do about that.
Sure. I think that's a great question. And some of the video series that you've done already are very helpful. To add to some of the things that you've learned so far from the videos in the new normal, are I would say looking at activities. So things that you know that you've learned throughout your lives as a parent, as well as what you can role model for your children. And the kids also know that what are the right things to do in terms of exercise and activity already. So joining them in terms of healthy habits. So there are really three things that American Physical Therapy Association will recommend, but I will add a couple more to those three things and also share some resources with you that Martha will put on the website. So those three things will be getting up and moving, right? Our bodies are made to move. So we are sitting a lot and learning a lot during this pandemic, but getting up and moving is key. Secondly, really, stretching as well is important, loosen those joints. And lastly, strengthening your body because we are doing a lot of activities that we're not used to in this sitting position. To add two more things, I would say, are really building on your healthy habits, such as eating right and also getting enough sleep. And I think that's very important for your children, but also for yourself to balance your life and role model for your kids and doing those activities together. So in the resource I've mentioned earlier, we'll talk about, and there are videos on simple stretching for your neck and shoulders where strain is for sitting in front of the computer that are important for us to understand and do, but also our kids are needing to do while they're in front of the computer screens a lot during the holidays, as well as when the school starts back up in the spring.
Wow, Alan, those are all really wonderful ideas. It sounds like there is a lot that we can do that maybe we either haven't been doing or maybe haven't been doing as much of, or maybe in the past we used to take some things for granted, like the moving up and going. So I love those simple tips and strategies. Now, I wonder any of this that you talked about for some of our families that maybe don't have as much space. Do you have any suggestions on maybe things that they could do together or maybe outside?
Sure. I think it's important for us to remember what we enjoyed doing before the pandemic. So if you and your children actually enjoy being outside together, maybe kicking the ball around, obviously socially distanced but safe outdoors. I think just going for walks. We have a beautiful beach. We live in a beautiful environment. Taking bike rides together. I think those things that you enjoyed before the pandemic, you could still do safely during the pandemic is important. But in terms of something, in terms of learning something new, if you could go online and look for simple videos, there are going to be videos that Martha will share with you from the APTA, the resources that we have in the link. Follow those videos in terms of exercise and stretching for young adults, young athletes, as well as for ourselves. So maybe starting something new, maybe yoga, Tai Chi, some of those things which will balance your life in terms of exercise, but also mindfulness, I think is important for us to consider.
Thank you so much, Alan. These are all really super helpful tips and suggestions. So it sounds like we can all do this together, and we can just make a small commitment to ourselves, to our health. I know that myself, when I am better about stretching and strengthening and going out maybe for a walk, I feel better. I feel better as a person. I know I am a better mother, and I know I am definitely a much better social worker. So I encourage you all to do a little bit. It doesn't take a lot, and you don't have to commit yourself to hours and hours of exercise. A few minutes a day really build up and make a huge difference. Would you agree?
I do, Martha. I mean, you as a social worker have a lot of expertise on what you're sharing with your parents and your children. And as a physical therapist, I too agree that we need to do this together. So, lean on your friends, lean on your colleagues, lean on your family to get through this pandemic together. And I think we will.
Well, thank you so much, Alan, for joining us again. And this again was Parenting in the Pandemic for San Marcos Unified School District. Thank you.
Okay, so are you feeling a little stressed out these days? Yeah. Yeah, me too. I'm not going to share all of the burdens that are going on in my life, but I've got a few, and I know you do too. And part of the question is, how do we respond to stress well? And we know from research that when we and our kids are experiencing what we'd call a stress response, meaning something is happening, it feels threatening or feels dangerous, and our biology actually kicks in and puts us in a mode where it turns off parts of our brains and parts of our bodies and turns on other parts. Well, part of the brain that turns off is the ability to actually think clearly and to learn and to think creatively and connect divergent ideas and thoughts. Stress is not good for school. Stress is not good for making healthy, wise choices. Stress is not good for relationships. And so we need to learn and we need to teach our kids how to manage stress more effectively. The most effective thing that you can do to manage a stress response, to work through the stress response, and get your kind of brain and your body back online the way we need it to be, is to do something physically, is to do something in terms of exercise. And I know you might groan when you hear that. Like, I don't have time for that, or I just don't like to, I don't want to, or I can't get my kid to. But it doesn't have to be necessarily getting at the gym, which we can't go to right now, most of us. It doesn't necessarily have to mean dropping and doing 20 push-ups, but it can. For instance, with my little girl, 7 years old, what we've been doing lately is I got the Pokemon app on my phone. And so we go for Pokemon hunts while we walk the dog. And she runs around. And she doesn't know it, but she's getting exercise. And she's actually helping her brain and her body come back into its rightful place, rightful senses. And so what does it look like for you? What does it look like for you to model that for your kid and for you to encourage and facilitate your kid getting the exercise that they need so that they can work through the stress response, so that their brain, their biology can kick back into gear, so that they can learn and think clearly and have a peaceful home?